help. So I was going to give y'all a look at the Jeep that I drive. It's a 2016 Wrangler. It's a Sport Unlimited. It's nothing fancy. Doesn't have the breakaway sway bars and that kind of stuff. But I've got it pretty well equipped, because this is what takes me and the blonde out to places that are really hard to get to so that we can go camping. So up front, this is an ARB bumper. It's got a bull bar on it, which is only half of the bumper. I put two 100 watt LEDs on there. I've got a 12,000 pound winch, and I use it a lot on myself and a lot on my friends. It also it's got rated recovery points right here. You don't want to recover off anything that's not rated. You definitely want to recover off stuff that's rated. That way you don't hurt anyone. From the factory, this thing comes with 17-inch aluminum rims. So I went down 2 sizes to a 15-inch rim, and it's a steel rim, because if you're off-road and you bend one, unlike aluminum, which you can't repair, you can hit these things back into shape with a hammer and be on your way. So I think they're the safest way to go when you're going off-road. And I've also got 35-inch Wranglers on there, and I think I've had several different types of off-road tires, and these seem to be working the best. They're really good in mud, and they get good gas mileage for an off-road tire, and they're fairly light. But it's not impossible to go down. You hear a lot of on the forums and stuff, you can't go to a 15-inch rim. You can go to a 15-inch rim. You just can't use the stick-on wheel weights on the inside. You have to use the hammer-on wheel weights that you hammer on the outside of the rim. So that's served us pretty good. It's got a 2-inch lift on it, which is nothing fancy. You can actually, the way I've got it set up now, I don't have any rubbing anywhere, and I've got 35s on it, and it's a 2-inch lift. And I like the fact that it's not super high. It handles really well, and the road manners on this car are pretty remarkable for what it does off-road. So I've got these steps are what Sarah put on when she owned it. Sarah's my daughter. They're like, I would call them catalog rock sliders. They're not actually meant for coming in contact with anything, especially rocks, because they're made in China, which I'm not happy about. They're super flimsy, and at some point I will get some from Barnes. They make a killer rock slider, so I will be putting those on. But up here we have a solar charger, and this is it's like a $15 solar charger. I get asked more about this than anything on the Jeep. It keeps the starter battery topped off. That's all it's really good for. It doesn't charge it, it just keeps it topped off. It's good for like 1 amp hour. So if you got 8 hours of sun, it's putting in 8 amps. And it just keeps your battery at a level where my power management system doesn't have to direct all of the charge to the starter battery. It can direct the charge to the lithium ion I have in the back. Those are my dogs howling at a siren, so we'll ignore that. Anyway, you see these on the sides of a lot of Jeeps. They're actually steps, so that you can get up on top, or you can climb up on the roof rack, or anything that you need to do. I find them very handy, especially when the tent's not up there and I'm loading wood or any kind of supply. I can just get up there with some ratchet straps really easily. These provide a really good step. They're very stable, they're very strong, and I'm happy with them. That's probably one of the best purchases I've ever made, and they're cheap. They're cheap, and it really helps you out. So Hannah's going to come around. Hannah's filming. She's going to come around, and I'll walk you through some of the stuff I've got in there, and then we'll move to the stuff in the back, and then the stuff in the backpack. All right, so what we have in here is I've got a CB radio right there, and it's a standard 40 channel with 40 side channels. This is where I've mounted my handheld right there. It stays out of the way. I have a Ram mount dash bar, and it goes all the way across up there, and that is so that you can mount things to it. The whole Ram mount system. So this right here is our tablet, and I run maps off of this. It's really, really useful. I run Google Maps. I found that Gaia doesn't do us very well when it doesn't have really good reception. Google Maps actually does. This is where we mount our phone. Down here I have a just a standard plug-in cigarette lighter, but it's a DeWalt, so it's like a 2.3 amp. It charges your tablet and your phone super fast. And then right here I have an EVC throttle controller. And this thing's great because on a Jeep, you have a lag because it's a throttle by wire setup. It's really frustrating if you're standing at a light or a stop sign and you want to go, like Debbie's Macan, you hit the gas, it hesitates for a little bit and it's really frustrating. So what I did was I hooked up a throttle controller on it. And so when you're off-road, you can set it to something that's very, very unsensitive. Like if you're on something that's really sketchy and you don't want to be jerky and you want a nice controlled motion, I can move the gas back and forth quite a bit before the Jeep reacts. And that's a real benefit. And when you're on the street and you're in traffic and you just want a quick reaction, you can change the mode. So right here, the economy mode is the E, right? And you've got 9 settings that I can change the sensitivity to. And I think that's pretty awesome because I can go to the ultimate setting, which is the U, and that makes it more sensitive. So if I'm in traffic, or if I want to start on a hill, or I'm in a hilly condition on the street, I just put it to 9. The second I touch that gas pedal, it reacts like it's actually a carbureted Jeep. Like there's a physical connection. It's really frustrating when you want to pull out, you hammer the gas, and then all of a sudden 2 seconds later is when it decides it wants to go, and the guy behind you that you pulled out in front of is not real happy with you because your car lagged, and it's really frustrating. So to combat that, I put that throttle controller in. It's working out pretty good. And then I will show you, let's move back there and I'll show you what I got going on for power management. Okay, so let me open the door for Hannah. All right, so what we have here is, this is a Red Arc BCDC 1230 or 1240 or 1250. I'm not sure. What this does is this takes all the energy that it senses. I've hooked every energy input to this. The solar goes to this. The starter battery goes to this. The house battery, which is under here, goes to this, and it decides what battery needs what. So if you have solar hooked up to this, which I have a solar panel that it's a solar blanket. I made some Anderson plugs and I just hooked it up that way. It'll take that solar and it'll put it to either the house battery, which runs the fridge and the freezer, and it runs the inverter and the battery chargers for the wireless stuff or the cordless stuff. And once that stuff's charged to full capacity, it'll send the rest of the juice to the starter battery. Going down the road, the alternator is charging that starter battery until it gets to a certain point, and then it doesn't charge it. It's not a smart alternator, so it doesn't know to turn off. So it just keeps throwing juice at stuff. Well, this actually takes that juice and puts it to the lithium-ion battery that I have under this platform. I built this platform to house all my tools, all my recovery gear, and the lithium-ion battery that's under here. The lithium-ion batteries are really nice. They're very expensive, but what I've got in the Toyota truck over there is I have 2 Optimas, and they're rated at about 60 amp. I believe it's a 60 amp reserve, or 60-minute reserve, and I have 2 of them, and they're what you call deep cycles. They're really, really expensive, and they're extraordinarily heavy. They're like 70 pounds each. These things are just really heavy. So with both batteries there, I have a 120-minute reserve, and I have 120 or 130 pounds in batteries, which is a lot to tote around. The lithium-ion battery weighs 17 pounds, has this almost the same reserve, and I can run 12 volts down to like almost 15% of that battery. It'll stay 12 volts almost all the way down. So I get a lot more out of that battery, and I know it's like 3 times as expensive as one of those. The battery I think I got on eBay from a reputable battery source was about $800, maybe a smidge more, but it weighs 17 pounds versus 130, and I get more battery juice out of it. So that's why I went with that. So back here I've got another power station and a couple USB charging points. I've got a fuse panel that everything runs through. That's my air compressor. I'll show you that in a minute. This is a 1,000 watt DeWalt power inverter. So that runs a lot of the stuff that I need that runs off 110. That's not set up for 12. That's a battery charger for my impacts, for my saws, anything that I need that I go out with. And this is an axe. It's a double bit axe. I've had it for a while. I've hung 2 handles on it. This is the second handle. I use this a lot. I have another spare toolkit here, and then inside, like I said, this is one of those Helinox folding chairs. They're pretty fantastic. They don't weigh anything, and they're very comfortable and very, very strong. But I've got ratchet straps, cordless impacts, a whole tool set, toe straps, and some tow hooks, and I believe in here I've got a pulley set up so that you can double line pull with the winch if you need to. And I built this. It was pretty inexpensive to do. I built it out of 1/2-inch ply, marine ply. And these are tie downs right here because Debbie and I actually run a freezer right here when we go camping. What I've decided is I'm going to put the freezer in this space next to the refrigerator, and I've got another setup. It's like a Rubbermaid box that I keep all of our cookware in, and some of our dry goods and our dry foods and our seasoning, and all the utensils I use for cooking. And I think that's pretty much it for what's going on here. So let's move to the back, and I'll show you how I access that and some of the stuff I've done for the bike rack and the swing away. After I take a sip of my gin. So the trailer hitch that comes standard, or it doesn't come standard, I had to take the bumper off to mount the trailer hitch to the Jeep. It's specific to the Jeep. And I have an extension on there so that I could get the bike rack past the spare tire. I use a Wilco spare tire carrier. They're made in the USA. It's not cheap, but it's American made, and it works really good. It's really tough, and I try to keep as much foreign stuff off of the Jeep as possible. So this is the bike rack. It's a 2 bike rack, so Debbie and I can take our mountain bikes to go camping. You find that there's a lot of trailheads near a lot of good camping. But when it was down here, in order to open the spare tire swing away and the door to the Jeep, I would have to take the bike rack off the car. I take the bikes off the bike rack, take the bike rack off the car is a total pain in the ass. So I decided I would just get a trailer hitch, receiver hitch, mount it to a plate. I welded it to a plate and then mounted it inside the wheel, and it allows me to do this. So now I can swing the bikes away with the tire carrier, and I have access to my door, which is awesome because when I get to camp, the first thing I want to do is just get this stuff out. So what I've got here is I've got it's a tailgate table, and it folds, and this is how I keep the cutting board. So I put the camp stove on that, and then I've got access to everything I need, and I have a step here that I can use to climb up if I don't want to attach the ladder. So I'll show you how I get to the fridge. And a lot of Jeeps that go with this kind of system, they don't have soft tops, they have hard tops. I like the soft top because I can take the windows out just fun. So that's how I do that. I just lay that up there. So right now, this is the 12-volt fridge. It's a 45 quart. And then we've got a freezer, which I'll start mounting here. And then we just put the camp stove for storage. We camp stove and camp toilet. And we pile all of our stuff in there. What you see there is the 12-volt air compressor. And so this is a fake floor right here. That's my hat. This is a fake floor, and what I do with this is I hide my table under it. So for camping, the second you pull into camp, you take the table out, and that's what you put the stuff on. So under here, I've got our folding sink. That's super handy. I use that a lot. And under here, I've got our jack and our air hose that I use with the air compressor to inflate the tires. Every time you go off-road and you gotta let the air pressure down your tires. And I've got to where I can get this done in about 10 minutes, so it's really convenient. This is an ARB tire kit. It's got a lot of cool stuff in there. I've used some of it. And so this is the back setup of the Jeep. It works really, really well. It's been refined over the last few years of camping. It's not as fancy as a lot of the stuff you see, but it's what works for us. We're familiar with it because we've used it so long, and honestly, I don't think I would change anything. It works pretty well. Jeeps don't have a lot of space, so that's the first thing you're fighting is space. I'll get up there and I'll show you how the tent opens in a second. This is the tub that we use, the Rubbermaid tub. I got this off Amazon, and it seems to work best for us. So this is the tub that we keep behind the driver's seats. And pots and pans, cooking stuff. That's where we keep our coffee, our dry goods, our utensils. It's nice because I can just lift this up, throw it in the Jeep the second I get to a camp spot. The first thing I do is I grab that tub and I put it on the table, and we're pretty much set up. I like that setup. It's quick, it's easy, and we use it a lot because we try to camp at least 2 weekends of a month. So let me hop up there. I'm not going to get the ladder out because it's buried, but I'll show you how easy it is to open the clamshell tent. The clamshell is awesome. It saves a lot of time. It's not a folding tent. It's actually pretty fantastic. I'll show you. Let me take another swig. That's going to slide. All right, so we'll use this. Okay. Normally I have a ladder. All right, so this is our platform. We store stuff on it, ratchet it down. This is how easy it is to set this thing up. Sleeping quarters. I love this system. It's so awesome. Especially when you want to pack it down. It doesn't take 20 minutes or 15 minutes. You don't have to worry about walking around it or anything like that. You pull this stuff in, you shut the clamshell, and then you just drive off. Anyway, that's our setup. I hope you enjoyed the walk around. I'm going to ask Hannah to turn this off and not film me falling, because I've got to get down without a ladder. Anyway, later.